Welcome back to the show. This is Blitz with Blender. I am Josh Blender, and today we are going over why the Arizona Cardinals won, without a doubt, emphatically won the 2025 NFL Draft. Just before we get started here, make sure if you have not already, subscribe to the channel, and once all of this is finished, give it a comment and let me know if the Cardinals were the winners from the NFL Draft or the losers. So the Arizona Cardinals had pick number 16 in the first round, and there was a glaring need for them to improve the defensive side of the football, and they went after it. Pick number 16, the way that the board fell, we saw pretty much all of the positions covered. The Cleveland Browns decided to go with Mason Graham at pick number 5, the top interior defensive lineman. There was some talk about who number 2 would be, but Arizona decided to go with Walter Nolen out of Ole Miss. He played on a front that included the likes of drafted Princely Uman Mielen. They had a very good defensive front, and one of the biggest reasons why Ole Miss had a 10-win type of season is because of Walter Nolen. This was the number 1 recruit out of high school a couple of seasons ago, and all of that talent was on display during his career in Mississippi. The biggest part of why their draft was so special, though, was because of the commitment to defense and not letting the board dictate where they were going to go towards needs. They were going to take pretty much best available, and it happened to be some needs that they were able to fill out. At pick number 47, my favorite pick in the entire draft, and a number of experts also, Will Johnson, arguably the best defensive back in college football over the past 2 seasons, and thought to, at one point in time, after the national championship, which he won with Michigan, to be a top 3, top 5 pick maybe in the 2025 draft. There was the season-ending injury. He's dealt with some turf toe, and he fell out of the first round altogether. He fell into the middle of the second round, with Arizona, with waiting arms, decided to take a guy that every single day in practice is going to go up against who will now be their second-year player in Marvin Harrison Jr. If you haven't seen the highlight of Will Johnson intercepting Marvin Harrison Jr. in the game back in November 2023, go ahead and give that a watch, because that was one of the best corners and one of the best wide receivers in college football. The Blitnikoff said Marvin was the best wide receiver in the country, but going against each other in every single day of practice is going to make them a whole lot better at the sport. Round 3 is where we had another very fun pick, where they took Jordan Burch out of Oregon. Now, that was a stout front. We saw Jordan's teammate Derek Harmon go to Pittsburgh in the infamous pick number 21, where Pittsburgh took Harmon over Shedeur Sanders, was expected potentially to go there. But Burch, a guy that ran a sub 4.7, like a high 4.6s, 4.67, 40-yard dash at 285 pounds now. Had over 10 sacks last year, had success with Michigan State where he had played, and really what was one of the more sad and just touching moments of the draft is after he had, been round 3, Jordan Burch went to Arizona as well. So they're filling out that defensive line. Jordan had a whole bunch of success with the Oregon Ducks, playing alongside the likes of Mateo Uiagalelei, is going to be one of the best pass rushers in college football next year. And first-round pick Derek Harmon, who famously got drafted in that 21 slot by the Pittsburgh Steelers, where Shedeur Sanders was thought to have gone before he fell. But Jordan Burch, guy that ran a 4.68 40 at 285 pounds and had the production. If you heard Joel Klatt throughout the draft and Daniel Jeremiah, they talked about traits and production a lot of times in the draft. People go traits, but how about Jordan, who has traits and production? That's going to be a great pick. He was slotted as a potential guy to go in the first round at one point, to be in the second round for sure. For him to drop all the way down to 78 at one of the most pivotal spots in the National Football League at this point as an edge position, and him being physically ready to play at the next level, goes to show you that that was another absolute steal. In day 3, they decided to target some national champions once again. They went with Cody Simon, the linebacker from Ohio State. If you remember Cody Simon from the college football playoff, you might have remembered where he cracked Nico Iamaleava's helmet in the first round of the college football playoff out at the shoe on that frigid night. He also went on a couple of weeks later at the Rose Bowl, won Defensive Player of the Game, Defensive MVP, and then to top it all off was the national championship defensive MVP along with that run. Cody brings, obviously, athleticism. He's thick through the lower half, 6'1", 235 pounds, so a tad bit, undersized at that spot. You need to beef up a little bit in terms of being able to take on run blocks. But his versatility in getting after the passer, him and Sonny Styles are rangy from that Ohio State defense from a season ago. But his leadership qualities, he was a captain on the national championship team along with, we remember, Travion Henderson, Jack Sawyer, Emeka Egbuka. So to be amongst that crop of guys when he didn't exactly play that long with the Buckeyes, in the sense of being a 3-4 year starter for them, he immediately contributed, raised his stock, and played his best football in the biggest moments. Again, they went after Ohio State's defense and they took Denzel Burke. Listen, Denzel Burke at one point in time might have been considered to be, certainly a day 2 pick, second, third round, and had been a starter with the Ohio State and had been consistent, their number 1 corner for the last couple of seasons, and they'd been able to rely on him in big spots. It's just that his performance against Oregon, frankly, was so bad, getting beat by Evan Stewart consistently, by Tez Johnson in front of a national crowd, that if you look at that on film, it is exceptionally hard to overlook that. People, in terms of the evaluations in a bad game, talked about Jackson Dart's game against Florida, how you got to throw away that film. People did not throw away the film of Denzel Burke allowing him to drop to the 5th round. If they had, he would have gone much higher than this because he brings an element of like that Denzel Ward physicality. He can run with anybody going vertically down the field. He brings a pedigree from playing against those Ohio State players. Remember, this is a guy that practiced against Egbuka 19th overall, Marvin Harrison Jr., consistently throughout his career, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate for the past season. He's gone up against all of these guys every single day in practice. You don't think playing amongst the best athletes and players at the wide receiver position has sharpened the iron to make him better? So he's back again right at it, playing Marvin in practice. So he's going to have to give Will Johnson, the former rival, a couple of tricks and tips. And then later on in the draft, Hayden Connor, they went with some depth at the offensive line. And then Crawford, who they went with in the 7th. This is the type of picks that you take flyers on, guys, and you add to the depth of your football team. But overall, we're talking about, my goodness, Will Johnson, still can't believe, easily could have been a top 10 pick. Still, even with the injury, Jordan Burch could have been a late first rounder, and you could have gotten away with it. Cody Simon, again, his value rose at the end of the process, and Walter Nolen is, without a doubt, the more physically impressive type of guy compared to Mason Graham. He's a little bit, I don't want to call it smaller, but Mason's a bit more of your junkyard dog, just out there making plays happen, where Nolen he just looks to be a bit of the part. But Mason Graham's production just put together had him listed as the best defensive tackle. So it's possible that Arizona is walking away with a haul of 4-5 starters on the defensive side of the football. You could put those 3 in. We'll see if Jordan ends up getting playing time as a starter. But overall, Arizona, compared to the likes of the Los Angeles Rams, they didn't have a first-round pick. They mortgaged a little bit of the present to be better in the future. You can't say the Rams had a better draft this year. Maybe they could in 2026 now, because it depends on how they are going to do going in the direction of getting that Atlanta Falcons first round draft pick. But this is impacting the team. I had the Arizona Cardinals in the late 20s as far as pre-draft rankings. You can bet they are going to be the highest climber of any team in the NFL after this draft, maybe even going into the teens. And probably, I think they will be based off of that. And it doesn't hurt. I'm an Ohio State football fan. They took some very good defensive Buckeyes. Not even being impartial about it. It's never a bad thing to draft Ohio State players, maybe except for the quarterback position for a number of years. But overall, this was an excellent draft. We look at Seattle in terms of what they took. Gray Zabel, Jalen Milroe in the third round, and of course the 49ers taking Mykel Williams in the first round. But you can't compare the depth of what they did. We could do another video breaking down the whole NFC West, but that's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks, where I'm going to break down each of the divisions and grading a number of them, grading each division, giving them rankings through each of the 8 divisions in the NFL and comparing the picks. But Arizona won the NFL draft this year, and my goodness, they improved the heck out of their football team. Thank you so much for watching all the way through the end here. I know I was scrambling around, but that was fun to just get out and deliver here. So appreciate you. Hope that you leave a comment. Let me know, was Arizona not the team that won the draft? Was it someone else like the Baltimore Ravens? Did Atlanta win the draft? Did Philly once again? Let me know in the comments what you think, and make sure to subscribe for more football content in the future. Thanks.